Hi guys, this is Tabiasobi, and today, I'm going to talk about Monster Hunter World reaching a milestone that diehard fans of the series have been hoping for many years. After announcing on February 9th, 2 weeks after the game's release, that Monster Hunter World shipped 6 million copies and became Capcom's fastest selling game at launch, the Hunting franchise has gone on to add even more to that impressive number, kind of like a hunter piling status on a monster. See, as of March 5th, Monster Hunter World has gone on to ship 7.5 million copies, making it the best-selling game in Capcom's entire history. That's right, better than any single Resident Evil game, or any single Street Fighter game. Monster Hunter World is now officially the king of Capcom's Azure Skies. As someone who's been trying to convince people to give the series a shot for years, typically with mixed success, words can't describe the validation I feel after seeing a Monster Hunter title finally earn huge success outside of Japan. Being a Monster Hunter fan used to feel kind of like being in a cult, albeit a harmless one. Now it feels like being part of a larger community. Granted, the success has come with some minor drawbacks, at least on a personal level. As someone who was quite prolific in posting guides for previous Monster Hunter games on the website of the newspaper that I work for, my guides used to reach the top search results, sometimes even the top spot on Google. These days, everyone and their grandma seems to be posting Monster Hunter World guides, so the ones I've tried to write this time around have been buried behind sites that get more traffic. There's also been a larger proliferation of lower quality guides for the game, complete with clickbait titles backed by minimal content. All that being said, it's a small price to pay in exchange for sharing the joy that is the Monster Hunter experience to a wider audience. I mean, 7.5 million shipped isn't anything to scoff at. Actual physical and digital sales also seem to be tracking close to that number, as Capcom also announced that the player count for the game has reached about 7 million. Those are great numbers for what used to be a niche title in the West. The fact that Monster Hunter World did that without selling its soul and avoiding predatory microtransactions and loot boxes makes the landmark numbers all the more sweet. Despite the company's stumbles with things like the Street Fighter V launch, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, and the cancelled Mega Man Legends project, Monster Hunter World proves that the company can still do great work if it puts its mind to it. Of course, the question now is, where do we go from here? Given its sales numbers, a new global entry in the series is pretty much a given. What remains to be seen is what form a sequel will take and how support also shapes up for the current game. Monster Hunter veterans, for example, will likely have thoughts of a G-Rank version in their minds. Will that come as a free patch or paid DLC to the current game? Will it be a separate title? Is it coming at all? How Capcom handles things like that will determine whether the game's momentum remains strong or starts fizzling out a bit. Then there's the matter of the Nintendo Switch. Will it get a localization of Double Cross? Will Capcom take up Iron Galaxy Studios, for example, on its offer to port Monster Hunter World to the Switch? For those who don't know, this is the same studio that helped port Skyrim to Nintendo's latest system. Granted, Skyrim is an old game, but you also have Studio Panic button showing that you can port a fairly new game like 2016's Doom on the Switch. I mean, heck, the file size for Monster Hunter World is much smaller than Doom's. Granted, the Switch version might not stack up to the PS4 or Xbox One versions, but just being able to play Monster Hunter World on the go would be a wonderful and natural fit given the history of the series. I mean, who knows? Perhaps Capcom is already looking into it, but doesn't want to affect the sales of the current game. Well, the good news notwithstanding, I do hope Capcom makes improvements, whether it be the current release or for future ones. Online multiplayer, for example, continues to be an Achilles heel in Monster Hunter World, which serves up an unintuitive and cumbersome experience for folks who just want to play with others or even their friends. I just helped different family members go through their story campaign, for example, which you can now thankfully play with others. But I spent an inordinate amount of time waiting for them to finish viewing their cutscenes before I could join their missions. It would be nice if the missions were designed in a way that at least allowed me to be there, watching the cutscenes with them, as opposed to staring at a screen in Astera, where I had to wait until the cutscene warning message went away. I mean, online isn't as bad as it was during the days of the ad hoc party, but it could still be vastly improved, so it doesn't turn off folks to the multiplayer experience. I also feel that the endgame experience could be fine-tuned a bit, as it feels a bit disjointed right now. All that being said, Monster Hunter World still does way more things right than it does wrong, and I remain thrilled by its success. If Capcom addresses some of the issues, which are quite fixable, and continues to avoid falling into the trap of predatory microtransactions, I don't see why Monster Hunter can't continue to enjoy success in the future. Now how about greenlighting that Mega Man Legends 3 game, Capcom? Anyway, feel free to share your thoughts or questions in the comment section below. Once again, this is Tabe Sobi, and as always, thank you for watching.